Hey everyone, it's Sean. This is going to be my review for Venom that's just released. Be careful for spoilers as this will be talking about very specific things, including the post-credits. Now, regarding the post-credits, second one felt more like an ad for the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, with Sony telling everyone, hey, look at this other movie that we're releasing in December. Go buy tickets for that when you get the chance.
This was never your city. It's mine.
If I don't destroy the collider, none of us will have a home to go home to.
The first post-credit scene was more of a direct sequel setup with San Quentin prison, Eddie going there to do an interview with Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage in the comics. Before he goes into the prison, Eddie tells Venom this is more of a me thing, not a we thing, so be quiet.
If you're gonna stay, you will only hurt bad people.
So that ends up setting up the sequel because Woody Harrelson is confirmed now to be Carnage, but the wig I don't like all that much. But he ends up saying before the screen goes to black and carries on with the credits, he does end up saying, when I get out of here, and I will, there's gonna be carnage. So that's a direct sequel setup for the second movie, which we now know will have Carnage in as the main villain, but we'd have no idea whether it will involve Spider-Man or not. It's going to be a nice surprise if it does. Now, regarding everything else in the movie, the question of does the Venom movie work on its own without the key character of Spider-Man for his origin? Hey, Eddie.
Who the hell is this guy?
I'm gonna need Mr. Drake's property back.
Oh,
What are you doing?
I'm putting my hands up.
The way that they've set it up, yes, it does, but certain elements felt a little weak. And I'll be going into that in a little further detail in a second, but the way that they've set it up, can Venom work on his own without a Spider-Man in his origin, and can he provide a backbone for Sony's Venomverse?
You do not want to do this, trust me.
Mask! Copy!
All right, have it your own way.
Mask!
Copy.
Yes, they can. It's worked, and it's a good thing they used elements from the Lethal Protector storyline, because that's given them a pretty solid foundation for upcoming sequels or any other movies that they give out regarding the Venomverse, such as the Black Cat and Sable, I think it was. No, the Silk. Black Cat and Silk movie coming out in the future. We have no idea when. But the weak part, as I just said, they're not overly weak, but they could have been changed a bit better, such as the script. It seems like they didn't take as much time and care into the script as they should have, because they wanted to rush the movie out. But if they had kept more care and time into the script, it could have been a bit stronger and maybe have given them a better review with critics. Personally, I think they were really unfair, especially the one person who said that it was a complete failure and it has nothing much to offer and not to get your hopes up.
What the hell are you?
I am Venom, and you are mine.
That was really unfair and a bit of an overstatement, because I thought it was pretty good, personally. Though some parts of what they said were true, such as what I just said about the script being a little weak, and the action, in my opinion, also felt a little too close together, because it didn't really feel like there was much of a gap between certain action scenes. They were carrying 4 specimens on the ship, 2 of them being Venom and Riot, we know that much.
Open it.
When the phage symbiote actually bonded with someone, it started eating the organs from inside its host because it wasn't getting enough nutrition from eating other humans, or, funny enough, chocolate. There's a substance in chocolate that's also found in human brains, which the symbiotes can feed off of, and that's where they get their fuel, as Venom calls it, during one part in the movie.
You gonna eat anybody else?
Most likely.
Oh, God.
The chemistry between the characters, that was one of the strong points in the movie for me. I felt like that was pretty well handled.
Eyes, lungs, pancreas. So many snacks, so little time.
Sony has been well known for making pretty bad movies. Personally, in my opinion, such as The Amazing Spider-Man 2, that wasn't handled very well. But the chemistry they ended up creating between Eddie and Venom was very good. They implemented comedy and tension between the two.
Why would we do that?
Especially at the end, just before you get the post-credit scenes. In the trailers, you get a scene at the end where Venom is telling the thief that he will eat both his arms
And then both of your legs, and then we will eat your face right off your head. You will be this armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street like a turd in the wind.
You get to that point, Venom just ends up saying to Eddie that he needs nutrition now.
Now, let's bite all the heads off and pile them up in the corner.
Why would we do that?
So that chemistry between them, the tenseful comedy that they bring in, was very well handled. So having already spoken about the first post-credit scene, the second one, as I said, felt more like an ad for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. All it is a scene from the movie of Miles Morales Spider-Man running around the city trying to escape the Prowler, who is actually his uncle. He ends up running away from him, eventually escaping him and going to a snowy graveyard with a tombstone surrounded by flowers, pictures and balloons for Peter Parker's grave, because in the Ultimate Comics, Peter Parker died at the hands of Green Goblin, and inspired by his sacrifice, Miles Morales decided to take up the mantle of Spider-Man.
Hey, kid. You're like me.
11 months prior, he actually got bitten by another spider and got the same abilities as Peter, with a bit more, with electro-telekinesis and optimal camouflage. You actually see the electro-telekinesis used for a brief moment in the clip. Just as Miles is talking to Peter's grave, saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Parker, I'm trying to do what you asked, but I can't do it without you." Just as you get that line, Jake Johnson's Spider-Man appears behind him saying, "Hey kid," tries to introduce himself, but in the shock, Miles actually zaps Peter with his electro-telekinesis, knocking him out. So Miles then has to run away from the police, dragging Peter's unconscious body behind him, and it ends up leaving it on a comical note with Peter and Miles on the ground, near enough unconscious and just completely waxed off from running around the city. Overall, I would rate the Venom movie, I'd rate that a 7 or 8 out of 10, because you could really tell that it was heavily edited, because as Tom Hardy said, his favourite 40 minutes of the movie were actually cut, which was probably done for the possibility of future crossovers. Personally, I think they've done a brilliant job, and by Sony standards, they've really nailed it and giving it a good setup for anything else that they want to do with the Venom character. So that's my review for the Venom movie. In the description below, I'm going to give a link to Dr. Soap's channel, who has done the compilation of all the clips that you've seen in this video. So be sure to check him out. He's an absolutely incredible editor who does voiceovers with YouTubers over games and movie clips, specifically Marvel, which I highly respect, because personally I prefer Marvel over DC. In the description below, there's going to be a link to their channel, and there's also going to be a link to my last video, which is, well, previous live stream for the Marvel Spider-Man movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all you guys later.